The Valderan Empire had ruled the Outer Rim for 3,000 cycles. Their word was law across 47 star systems, their military unmatched, their assassins legendary. The Shadowblades were the Empire's most feared instruments, 12 warriors who had never failed a mission, who moved like death itself through the cosmos. Until they met Alex. Jiggy watched the holographic display flicker in the dim light of the underground bunker, her violet eyes tracking the 12 red dots converging on their position. She was Valderan herself, defector, traitor, depending on who you asked. Her elongated fingers danced across the controls, trying to boost the signal's strength. Alex, she said, her voice carrying that musical quality all Valderans possessed. They're here, all 12 of them. Alex sat on a supply crate, methodically checking his weapons. He was unremarkable by human standards, average height, brown hair going gray at the temples, a face that would disappear in any crowd. That ordinariness had saved his life more times than Jiggy could count. Just 12, he asked, sliding a fresh magazine into his pistol with a soft click. The Emperor must not think much of us. You don't understand, Jiggy's hand trembled slightly on the console. The Shadowblades have eliminated entire resistance cells. They've assassinated planetary governors in their own fortresses. They once killed a hive queen surrounded by 10,000 drones. 12 of them it's an extinction-level threat. Alex stood, rolling his shoulders. Jiggy, how long have we been running together? 2 cycles, 23 planetary months. And in that time, how many times have your people tried to kill us? She didn't need to calculate, 47 attempts. And how many times have they succeeded? Despite her fear, Jiggy felt a small smile tug at her lips. 0. There's a reason for that. Alex moved to the bunker's weapon locker, pulling out items that made Jiggy's stomach turn. Humans had a reputation in the galaxy. They were clever, adaptable, and frighteningly creative when it came to violence. Your empire has been the apex predator for so long, you've forgotten what it's like to face something truly dangerous. And what's that? Alex looked at her, and for a moment she saw something ancient in his eyes, something that predated civilization itself. An animal with nothing left to lose. The first Shadowblade entered through the eastern ventilation shaft at 200 hours. Krevnal was his name, a master of silent infiltration who could move through a room full of motion sensors without triggering a single alarm. He descended on monofilament wire, his 4 arms holding various weapons, his compound eyes seeing in 17 different spectrums. He never saw the wire. Alex had strung it at precisely neck height for a Valderan, using fishing line he'd scavenged from a human colony ship. When Krevnal descended, the wire caught him clean. His head tumbled one way, his body the other. Alex had calculated the exact tension needed. Too loose and it would simply cut, too tight and it would snap. Perfect tension meant a clean decapitation. Jiggy heard the thud through the bunker's audio sensors and closed her eyes. 1 down. 11 to go, Alex said, already moving to position 2. Shadowblades 2 and 3 came together through the main entrance because there was no lock in the Empire that could stop them. Shelvara and Quinn were specialists in brute force, genetically enhanced to smash through any barrier. They smashed through the reinforced door in 3.2 seconds. Jiggy had timed it. What they found on the other side was a corridor, empty except for some unusual cylindrical objects mounted to the walls. Claymores, Jiggy had learned, were a human weapon of beautiful simplicity. Point toward enemy, detonate. The directional mines shredded both Shadowblades into fragments smaller than Jiggy's smallest finger. Alex was already running toward position 3 when the explosion faded. That's 3, he called back, getting boring yet. The 4th Shadowblade was Teshik, the patient one. She waited outside for 6 hours, scanning, analyzing, calculating the perfect entry point. She found it, a weakness in the northern wall's structural integrity. She placed a precision-cutting charge and slipped through. The room she entered was dark, but her enhanced vision pierced the blackness easily. She saw the human standing there, unarmed, waiting. Finally, Alex said, someone who wants to do this properly. Teshik lunged, her 8 razor-sharp claws extended, moving faster than most species could perceive. But humans, Alex had once explained to Jiggy, were pursuit predators. They didn't need to be fast, they needed to be smart. He'd calculated her attack angle based on standard Valderan combat doctrine. He stepped left, let her momentum carry her past, and brought a combat knife up through the soft tissue under her jaw. The blade pierced her brain in 0.4 seconds. 4, Alex said, wiping the blade clean. Shadowblades 5 through 7 tried a coordinated assault from 3 different vectors. They were Yorgath, Mindel, and Krevnik, the Empire's tactical geniuses. They had planned campaigns that conquered worlds. They had never planned for a human who'd spent his youth playing what Jiggy learned were called video games, simulations humans used to practice warfare for fun. Alex had anticipated every angle, every timing, every possible combination of their assault. When they breached simultaneously, they found themselves in a carefully orchestrated kill zone. Automated turrets, salvaged and reprogrammed by Alex over the past week, opened fire in a pattern that was mathematically perfect. Yorgath lasted 4 seconds, Mindel made it to 6. Krevnik actually managed to destroy one turret before the others cut him down. 7 down, Jiggy whispered, watching the carnage on her displays. 5 left. The 8th Shadow Blade was Pelzar, the poisoner. He didn't breach the bunker, he simply introduced a neurotoxin into the air circulation system. It was odorless, tasteless, and could kill a Valduran in 30 seconds. But Alex wasn't Valduran. Jiggy watched in horror as the toxin readings spiked, but Alex simply pulled on a gas mask, another piece of human military surplus, and continued working. He traced the toxin back to its source and found Pelzar crouched by an air intake. The human weapon called a shotgun was inelegant by Valduran standards, but when Alex fired, Pelzar learned what humans had known for centuries. Sometimes, overwhelming force was its own kind of elegance. Shadowblade 9 Zelmoth tried psychological warfare. She hacked into the bunker's communication systems and began broadcasting images of Alex's dead family, of burning human colonies, of everything the Empire had taken from him. It was supposed to break him, instead it fueled him. Alex found her broadcast point and grenaded it. Zelmoth had 0.3 seconds to realize her mistake before the fragmentation grenade turned her into a fine red mist. 9, Alex said, and Jiggy heard something cold and final in his voice. The 10th and 11th Shadowblades were Zerith and Malkuth, twins who fought as one organism. They'd killed 100 enemies in perfect synchronization. They moved like water, like thought itself. Alex moved like physics. He'd spent 2 hours setting up a sequence, tripwires, pressure plates, carefully balanced weights. When the twins entered, they triggered a cascade that was part Rube Goldberg machine, part death trap. Falling storage containers crushed Zerith. Malkuth dodged those only to step into a bear trap, a primitive human hunting tool that was brutally effective. While he struggled, Alex simply shot him. 11, Jiggy said, 1 left. The 12th Shadowblade was Krevax, the inevitable, leader of the 12, the Emperor's finest weapon. He'd killed 3 planetary governors, 17 generals, and countless lesser targets. He was perfect, precise, unstoppable. He found Alex in the bunker's central chamber, surrounded by the evidence of his companions' deaths. Human, Krevax said, his voice like grinding glass. You fight well, but I am the culmination of 3,000 years of Valduran military evolution. You are one primitive from a backwater world. Surrender, and I will make it quick. Alex smiled, and it was a terrible thing to see. You know what your problem is. You've been the apex predator so long, you've forgotten the most important rule of evolution. And what is that? Apex predators go extinct when the environment changes. Alex pressed a button. The entire bunker had been rigged. Every charge he'd placed, every mine he'd set, every trap he'd built, they all detonated simultaneously. The blast was precisely calculated to destroy everything within the bunker's walls while leaving the structure itself intact enough that a single escape pod could launch. Jiggy and Alex rode that pod up through the explosion, leaving Krevax's screaming form behind in the inferno. 2 days later, 12 transport containers arrived at the Valduran Imperial Palace. The Emperor himself opened them. Inside were the remains of the Shadowblades, sorted, catalogued, and carefully packaged. Each container had a note in perfect Valduran script. You sent 12, I'm sending them back. If you send 12 more, I'll send them back too. If you send 12,000, the result will be the same. Leave us alone, or learn what humanity does to predators who hunt us. The Emperor, who had ruled for 600 years, who had never known fear, felt something cold settle in his chest. The containers also included a video file. He played it. It showed Alex sitting calmly in frame, with Jiggy standing behind him. My name is Alex Chen, the human said. I'm nobody special, I'm just a guy who wants to live in peace. But if you make me fight, I won't fight fair, I won't fight honorably. I'll fight like my ancestors fought, with every dirty trick, every improvised weapon, every ounce of creativity that evolution gave us. We're humans. We walked out of our caves and claimed a world full of predators stronger, faster, and meaner than us. We won because we're smart, adaptable, and absolutely fucking relentless. Alex leaned forward. So here's my offer, leave us alone, and you'll never hear from me again. Keep hunting us, and I promise you, 12 elite assassins will seem like a training exercise compared to what comes next. The Emperor watched the video 17 times. Then he issued an order that shocked the entire empire. Alex, Chen, and Jiggy were to be left alone. No assassins, no hunters, no retribution. Some called it mercy, some called it cowardice. Those who understood called it wisdom. Because the Empire had learned the most important lesson in the galaxy: when you send your very best against a human with nothing to lose, sometimes the human wins. And humans never forget.